Today's adventure takes me to the Biosphere 2, located near Oracle, Arizona. And I'll be traveling there to meet up with my brother Richard and with two of his grandsons. Check out that azurite and malachite and petrified wood. But Richard and his two grandsons, Isaac and Miles.
Here we're coming in.
And as we start to go in,
some deer.
Look over there, and there's a couple mule deer out grazing on the mesquite tree. Pretty cool. But Richard booked the tour online and told me you have to download the Biosphere app so you can listen to the presentation. And of course, the Biosphere has a bunch of different areas to it, from oceans to forests to deserts. And while the tour is much different than when I went there in the past, it's still an interesting place to go. You come to each of these little signs that have a number that corresponds with the app. And you press it on your phone and you listen as it tells you what's going on there. The Earth is considered the first biosphere, so Biosphere 2 was created to create a self-sustaining environment inside a sealed building. Construction started in 1986, and in 1991, 8 scientists were sealed inside the building. The structure has over 7 million cubic feet under sealed glass and is 91 feet at its tallest point. In 1991, 4 men and 4 women were sealed inside the building. The tour itself is about half outside the building and half inside the building. That's a picture of some of the Biospherians, as they were called, that were originally sealed inside the building. The app makes a self-guided tour quite informative, but there are a number of signs and pictures that also help explain some of the things that are going on. Can you imagine what life was like inside? That's one of the actual rooms of one of the Biospherians. Pictures of life under the dome. The picture I took looked just like that one in their poster. With the architecture, the beams. It's interesting. Just hard to imagine what it would have been like to actually have been sealed inside this complex for 2 years. Would you ever consider doing something like that?
So what do you think, Richard?
Pretty cool.
Okay, you guys got to introduce yourself.
I'm Miles. I'm Isaac.
That was pretty quick.
Ability to support human life in outer space. 8 people were sealed inside Biosphere 2 for 2 years. One of their goals was to learn how to grow all of their own food in a way that was sustainable, using limited resources of land and water. To do this, they formed agricultural plots in the part of Biosphere 2 that Leo occupies today. Biosphere 2 is no longer a closed, sealed system. Now, the 40-acre Biosphere 2 campus is being used as a model city to develop and test technologies for sustainable power sources and better resource management.
Work schedule, seed inventory, alarms, just pictures of the actual people that were in there. This is the official door where they first enclosed the scientists that were locked in here for a couple years. And there's them locked in there, the official opening. We're in the rainforest, I assume. I don't know. But I like the pothos, big old leaves on them. Stairs going up.
I included a brief section of the 10-minute video that they show that tells all about the biosphere. These plaques list some of the trees and items that were grown in their garden for food for the scientists. At Station 13, you view the energy center with 2 large generators. And this is the lung. That big dome facility you saw was actually the lung, where as air expands and contracts inside the biosphere, it goes into that dome. We are now in the fog desert, one of the 5 biomes in the biosphere. It's supposed to replicate an area such as Baja. Well, the facility was developed for scientific purposes. Was it possible to develop a self-contained, sustainable environment?
Specifically referencing the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. Popular locations will be Madagascar, Chile, Peru, Costa Rica. This chamber, however, is Baja. As you would travel south to
While many scientific experiments were conducted, it really became more of a social experiment. There were many stories about the lives of the scientists locked inside, how they lived, how they got along. I've heard a lot of stories that, well, aren't covered in the tour. Next, we're heading to the ocean. The ocean and the fog desert were separated by an area of mangroves. The various species of mangrove trees are quite important to the ecosystem. They protect the land from erosion, filter heavy metals and pollutants from the water, and provide a living environment for many species of fish and animals. That area of the biosphere would be similar to Florida. Here's your trivia question. How many species of mangroves are found in Florida? And bonus, if you can name them. If you guessed 3 and said red, white, and black, you would be correct.
Now we are entering the rainforest. Ooh, look at that. That's spectacular. Hard to believe we're in the Arizona desert. And we're inside.
Some of the sound you hear are the big blowers that are throughout the facility. They create wind, which creates stronger trees and vegetation. Of course, they're also used for climate control, as this is basically a giant greenhouse which would quickly overheat if the inside climate wasn't controlled. Though rainforests only cover 7% of the Earth's surface, they're extremely important. They balance CO2 levels and help slow the rise of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Rainforests also provide habitat for over 30 million species, over half of the life forms on the planet.
So what do you think of this place?
Pretty cool. Fantastic. I love it. It's very humid.
We're in the rainforest. It's supposed to be.
There are markers on the ground that lead us through the tour. The tour no longer goes to the basement where all the electrical, plumbing, and mechanical systems are housed, but you do go by here, where they have lodging and a conference center. But we're off to Pepper Sauce Cave. Take care.